only Maurits Acosta, and we're so excited to get into it about his role at Virtutem Populo, the founder and CEO. Maurits?
Thank you so much, Alyssa, for having me. It's a true pleasure to be here, and I'm super excited to be on this podcast. I think it's a great initiative, and we're very happy to support it and to be here. It's great. It's great being with you.
Yeah. To start off, let's first highlight that you're just an amazing example of youth leadership across Miami-Dade. You have years of civic leadership experience in the county, as well as, being the head advocate for Virtutem Populo. And that's always very exciting. And I think our listeners will be glad to listen about some of your background in civics and community service.
Yeah, 100%. So first things first, I always like to say that civics is not just a textbook subject. It's a way of living. It's a way of going, through high school and through college, and even after college. It's about being part of your community, of being the change you want to see. And I started off really in seventh grade. I moved to the United States from the Netherlands, born to Cuban parents in 2015. Really kind of ignorant about government and how things worked. And then in seventh grade is when I really became more passionate. And I was actually able to be part of a project with other students where we were able to write and pass two laws in the town of Miami Lakes, which was an incredible experience. So it just shows you that age is really not a limit as to how far you can go. And that's how I got started developing those relationships with our local elected officials, and then eventually starting Virtutem Populo, which means power to the people in Latin, which is a student-led 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to promoting civic engagement and community involvement among youth in Miami-Dade County and the state of Florida. So that's just a little bit of my background. We have many events at Virtutem Populo, from our Civics Bowl to our Constitution Day event to our Night of Global Engagement, through our very own podcast, which is one of our programs, the Civic Action Podcast, where we interview local community leaders to talk about how students can be more civically active. And we have brand new initiatives coming up. For example, we're launching our youth empowerment program, which is going to be great. So for any students listening who have their own passion projects, we hope to open up that program now in September, October, where we can actually give mini grants to high school students who have their own passion projects. So, be on the lookout for that. But that's just a little bit about my history, how I got started, and what I'm doing today.
Well, that's amazing. And I mean, you guys heard it right here. You guys have the opportunity to expand your podcast and to really know and understand how to build professional networking as a team, because as fortunate as it is, as unfortunate as it is, I feel like there's a stigma with the youth that maybe we're not as capable to handle being responsible citizens in our community and pursuing our own projects. So I mean, for lack of better words, how did you get over, like you specifically, starting Virtutem Populo, how did you get over this stigma to be an example of a capable and informed student? Like, how was it when you first initially started the organization?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I 100% agree. I definitely do think that sometimes there's a stigma, and when I started my projects in seventh grade, my policy projects. And since then, I've done countless of policy projects where we try to solve issues in our community. So I started off with a school safety project regarding some apartments that were next to an elementary school that were kind of unsafe. Then I did a flooding project to try to make our streets less flooded. Then I did a court debt project about trying to eliminate juvenile court debt. And then this past year, I did an affordable housing project. So there's definitely many different policy projects that we do, in which we have to consult with experts, with elected officials. And to be completely honest, initially, my teammates and I, we would not put our age in our emails. We would just, we would say we're students. We wouldn't say we were in middle school. And many of our experts and the people we work with didn't know we were in middle school until they met with us on Zoom. They thought we were college students. So I would say the number one way to break the stigma is presenting yourself professionally. That's, first things first. Um, Many people who I speak to on the phone, who I email, they don't realize I'm as young as I am until they meet me face to face or until we do a Zoom meeting. So that's just, it shows you that if you maintain yourself in a professional way, um, and you go out there and really put your best, self forward, that's first things first. If you want to get involved with elected officials and with business owners and organizations, that's the number one way to start it. And that to me is crucial. So, getting rid of those unprofessional emails, making yourself a professional email, maybe even making a LinkedIn so you can present yourself professionally. And that's how I started. And I've also had the honor of presenting to adults as well. I gave a TED style presentation at St. Thomas University at their Catalyst event, and it was called um, empowering the next generation. And it was a presentation to adults. And I tell adults all the time as well, it's up to them for them to open their doors for us. Because at the end of the day, we are students, and yes, we can do a lot, but we also need capable and supportive adults who are really, helping us in our initiatives, because there's always going to be loopholes, legal loopholes. We're minors. So we need those adults to support us. But in order for you to get those adults to help you out with your project or with your initiative, you need to make sure that you present yourself professionally, so that they're like, wow, this is a person that we can really work with, because even though they are students, they're very professional.
Yeah, I mean, of course. And I think that there's definitely a harmony that you have to have as a youth, presenting yourself professionally, but also like in your personality and the way that you want to execute your passion project or an initiative in your town. Maybe it's a local policy that you're trying to pass. Definitely building that harmony with other adults is like, and government officials is the right way to go. Um, and besides the networking aspect, a lot of our viewers ask, what are some starting activities that you might have done that helped you lead up to where you guys are now at Virtutem Populo? Because Virtutem Populo is not only a nonprofit civically advocating for students, but it's also a journey. It's also a journey in government and civics and advocacy and, you know, showcasing the capability of youth. So how do you, what activities do you think are useful, like that you did when you started?
Yeah, 100%. We had many different activities when we started off. Our first event was our Constitution Day event, which was a huge success. Last year, we did it at Miami Dade Town Hall. We had about 100 middle school students there, and we had three experts speak on the Constitution, and we gave out Constitution booklets, and it was great. But before I get into different types of activities, I think it's really important to make it clear that you have to be in it for the right reasons. A lot of people these days, a lot of students specifically, are trying to start nonprofits, trying to start organizations, passion projects, all of this, and that's great. And I myself and Virtutem Populo as a whole is 100% behind supporting students, starting, their own initiatives. But you have to be in it for the right reasons, because it has to be something you're passionate about, because that's what's really going to drive you forward. And to be completely honest, you having your own organization is not necessarily going to get you into a better college. It's what you do with that organization. So, if you just start something to start it because it's going to look good on your resume, and then you don't do anything with it, and let's say you make a blog and then you post 2 times and then you forget to post again because it's just not something you really are passionate about, then did it really help you? Not really, right? And did it really help the community? Probably not. So first things, be in it for the right reasons. I always tell students to start passion projects, but that's the key, passion. You really have to be passionate about whatever you are doing. And then
100%.
everything else, yeah, exactly. So everything else will come, afterward. That's first things. Another thing, like with nonprofits, you can have a passion project without you having a nonprofit 501c3 organization. That's also really important, because a lot of people maybe go through with getting a 501c3. It's expensive. It costs money, it costs time, and then they didn't really need it from the start. At Virtutem Populo, we deal with many different businesses and grants and sponsorships, so it was a necessary thing to do. But if you have a tutoring service, there's no need to go through with that, because at the end of the day, it's the impact that you make that matters, not whether you have your paperwork. But now that I make that clear, when it comes to the activities, I always say that it has to make sense with what you are doing and what your project and your initiative is all about, and you need to shape it to that audience. So for us, we wanted to drive civic engagement, civic literacy. And as my first event, we were thinking, what are we going to do? And we were like, oh, Constitution Day is coming up, so maybe we can host a forum about the Constitution to try and kind of promote civic literacy and knowledge about the Constitution. So then we went forward with that. Then afterward, we had our Civic Knowledge Bowl, where we had 7 high schools participate and 4 in the finale. And that was great. It was a game show all about civics, and you can watch that online at our YouTube channel. And that was another activity we did. And we had our Night of Global Engagement, which is an international relations education gala. And then we also had our charity basketball game, where we raised $7,400 for a local breast cancer awareness organization. So, there's so many different needs in the community and so many different ways to address it. So I would definitely say analyze what your target audience is, analyze your mission, and based on that, select an event, activity, program, or initiative that you wanna pursue. A lot of people start off maybe with drives. Drives are always a good way because you're serving a need in the population. So food drives. There was just a huge natural disaster in Maui. Maybe finding a way to support the victims of that. Or school supply drives. There's many students in need of school supplies at the moment. There's many organizations who already have ongoing drives. So maybe you can host a drive at your school or in your community and then donate those items to the organization who's going to be giving them out to teachers and students. And that's another thing I always say is try to tag along to all of these movements that people are doing. There's no need for you to start your own, school supply drive from scratch and then try to find people to give it to, when maybe there's already school supply drives ongoing. Like the Education Fund has a huge school supply drive for teachers. Maybe you host it at your school or at a few schools that that you have contact with, and you host it there. So you're leading those drives in those schools, but then you donate the materials to the Education Fund because they already have their own drive and they can give it to teachers, something like that. So always try to find partners, try to find people and organizations you can partner with and work with, so that it doesn't all fall on you, and you have reliable people that you can depend on and work with together as you host your first events, activities, and programs.
I think that's golden advice, Maurits, because I think especially you starting first on being passionate about what you want to do is really important, because in order to passionately execute an activity, I think you also need the confidence and able to be able to do so, the confidence to be informed and share what you're informed about. So like shifting to more Virtutem Populo oriented, how do you think making professional connections in order to make these activities within a VP built your entrepreneurial confidence in creative strategy or networking with professional individuals?
Yeah. So my biggest advice for people our age, and every single presentation I give, I always have like at least one slide or one section on it, just because I found it so useful. It's not for everybody, but I think it's very beneficial in maintaining your network, which is LinkedIn. So for those who don't know what LinkedIn is, it's like a professional version of Facebook or Instagram, where instead of having friends or followers, you have connections. And I got LinkedIn the summer between my 8th and 9th grade year, I think. So it's been a while. I'm an incoming junior now. And whenever I would have a meeting, the moment I would leave that meeting or the moment I would leave an event where I met someone that I'm like, oh, that person is great, I would look them up on LinkedIn. And if they have LinkedIn, I would add them and I would make a custom request. I would be like, hello, whatever their name is. It was so great meeting you today. I would love to connect and stay in touch, and send them a connection. And then they'll be like, oh, yes, I remember meeting him. Let me accept him. And that way you start building a network, where to a point, I think I may have 300, 400 connections now. And these are people that you never know when your paths will cross again. And I've benefited a lot from that. I've gotten, sponsors and interviews and different needs met through LinkedIn by just messaging, oh, I saw you did this program. I want to do that program too. You meet people and you never know when your paths will cross. So it's definitely important. And it's just a great way of, maintaining your connections organized. Another thing is following up. Business cards. You may get business cards when you're at events, but the most important thing is to follow up on them. And look, I'll show you guys. So I went to an event last week. I went to a luncheon with the Chamber of Commerce, and I got business cards from a lot of people, right? I haven't followed up on them yet, but I've had them on my desk because I will follow up on them, and I'll do that actually today. So I'll get each business card that I collected, and I'll send them an email. Hi, it was so great meeting you. My name is Maurits. We met at this event. Thank you for giving me your card. And then, just maybe you need something from them. Maybe you don't. Even if you don't, just always follow up. That's key. Following up, because a lot of people collect business cards, they connect numbers, and then they never follow up on them. And then maybe in 1 year, you're like, oh my goodness, I need this or I want this, and who can help me with that? Oh, that person that I met last year works for that company, or they did that. They were telling me about it. But then a year later, when you follow up, it may be a little weird. They may not remember who you are, or time has passed. So following up right after is really important. And then once you start building that network, it becomes key, because you can open up opportunities for those people, and those people can open up opportunities for you. So I would definitely say, when it comes to being an entrepreneur, or a project leader, networking is very important, and making sure you're organized and following up. I think that speaks volumes.
Of course, Maurits. Of course. And I really think that everything you said definitely has weight to it. And I think it's important. I think I've missed out on opportunities myself because of, insecurity that I wouldn't get myself out there enough, or just because I haven't reached out back. And I think that, starting from now on, our listeners that are hearing this should really go after what they want, especially when the opportunity is presented to them. Just do it responsibly and do it informed. I also want to switch a little bit back to VP's I guess you could say 3 foundational pillars: advocacy, education, and programming.
Yes.
What are some aspects of social advocacy at VP that the students or volunteers engage in?
Yeah, so right now, we have a bold goal and a vision for the state of Florida, which is to have as many student advisors on school boards throughout the state by June of 2025. So, for those who don't know, I hope most of the listeners know what a school board is. So it's, the legislative body of a school district with, elected school board members. We're the ones who make the decisions, for the entire district. Here at Miami Dade, we're the 3rd largest school district in the nation. And we do have a student on our school board. They're a non-voting member, they're an advisor, but we have a position, the student voice is being represented in education, which is so important, because at the end of the day, we're the ones that are being affected by every decision that the school board makes, because we're in the classrooms every day, right? So I always thought it was so important to have student representation on the school board. And, doing some research, I found out that there's not that many counties that have one. I thought every county in Florida had one, because we had one in Miami-Dade. and we still do. And we've had one for years. I think Miami-Dade has had a student advisor since like the 1990s or 1980s. But when you look at the other school boards, many don't. I know Broward does. And I think there's one or two more, but that's it. And we have 67 counties in Florida. And I'm willing to bet that maybe less than 6 have a student advisor. So that's definitely one of our biggest advocacy pillars right now. We try to advocate for student representation in government, and right now our focus is the student advisors. So when it comes to advocacy, that's really our priority right now. And we're trying to move forward. I have a meeting with a school board member from Monroe County in about 2 weeks. I made connections with a school board member from Seminole County. I made a connection with a school board member from Orange County. So, like, once again, it's these people that you meet, and hopefully we can work on that. And when I interviewed Dr. Jose Doltris, the superintendent of Miami-Dade County Public Schools, when he was on the Civic Action podcast, I mentioned it to him, what he thought about the student advisors, and he was 100% in agreement. He thought it was so important, and he never realized that other counties didn't have one because he was so used to having one in Miami. But then he thought back to his time at Collier County, where he was deputy superintendent for a while, and he was like, you know what, Maurits, you're right. Now that I'm thinking about it, we didn't have a student advisor at Collier County. So I 100% that. I 100% support that mission, and I'm going to help you in whatever way I can. And so it just shows you that these are just some things that people don't think about, but that, this is an issue that I think should be addressed. So hopefully we at Virtutem Populo can do something to address that. So that's one of our legislative advocacy priorities.
That's awesome, Maurits. And even though we're talking about VP right now, I know that there's countless opportunities in specifically Miami-Dade, because that's where we're based, that offer these seats where the youth can sit at the table where decisions are made. Decisions that, because we're civilians living in Miami-Dade, we have a voice. We live here. There's no way you can get out of that. One great resource that I know is the Miami-Dade Youth Commission. Specifically, that the Youth Commission can work under a Miami-Dade commissioner under different areas, and you can get in different districts, and you can get that firsthand experience and that knowledge. And I know that VP also is Miami-Dade based for now, because I know this is gonna go statewide and maybe even international, right? Because you have a new global dynamic experience with Peru, isn't that right?
Yeah, we do, and that's very exciting. And I'll touch base on that in just a second, but I did want to comment on what you mentioned about the Miami-Dade Youth Commission. So I have a great honor of being a youth commissioner for District 13, which is the district in which I live, appointed by Commissioner Renee Garcia. And it is a great opportunity. And this past year, I had the pleasure of serving as chair of the Miami-Dade Youth Commission Advocacy and Legislation Committee, where we, led some initiatives at the county level. And it was great. We went to DC at the end of the year and met with, our U.S. representatives there. And we also had a joint meeting with the Miami-Dade Board of County Commissioners, where, we worked with Mayor Levine Cava and all 13 commissioners to make sure that the priorities for the youth of Miami-Dade County are set. So I think that's a great opportunity that everybody listening should look into. And back to this, global program we're starting. And I'm so excited because I just had a meeting this week with our partners in Peru, and we are ready to hit the ground this upcoming school year. And that's great. So what we are doing is we are doing a cultural exchange program with students in Ollantaytambo, Peru. This is a small rural village in Peru where they still have traditional, Native American traditions. The students make their own uniform, and in addition to Spanish, they speak Quechua, which is a very native language there. And just they have such a rich culture, and life is so different than what we are used to here in Miami or in Florida or in the United States. So we're going to be working with, the principal there and the students there, in order to connect them with students here in Miami. We're going to kick off the program with 50 students in Miami and 50 students in Peru. Every student is going to be assigned a partner of the same age who monthly they're going to be writing letters to each other that we're going to translate for them. We want the kids in Peru to learn English, and that's something that the principal said is really important to her, is that the students try to learn English. So we're going to help them with that. And then the students here are going to be able to see what life is like in Peru, especially specifically in Ollantaytambo. So we're very excited about that program. I know our partners in Peru are, and we're ready to launch with 50 kids here. And if it goes well, after 6 months, we'll expand it to 110, which is the entire school in Ollantaytambo. They have 110 students. So our goal is to eventually expand so we can reach each and every single one of them. But it's a great way because the students here are going to be able to learn what government is like in Ollantaytambo, and the students in Ollantaytambo are going to be able to learn what government is like here in Miami. So that's where the civics comes in, while also promoting, language exchange between Quechua, Spanish, and English. So we're really excited for that.
Soon you guys are gonna have all hands on deck to get ready and prepared to get just to another level of impact, which I think is really important. Just like how we were talking about earlier, you can have the passion, you can have the activity, but you also need to have the impact in your community or beyond. I know that you guys at VP have recently become a PVSA, or President Volunteer Service Award certifying organization. So you guys can have volunteers volunteering at Virtutem Populo to help her expand your mission internationally or wherever. Can you let us know a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so we're really, really excited about that as well. We recently became a President's Volunteer Service Award certifying organization. So what does that mean? It means that we are certified by this body that was established by Congress to award the President's Volunteer Service Award, to give out that award to the people who serve Virtutem Populo and who are serving our community. And it's a really big deal. It's a national award, given by the President of the United States. Really, the recipients get a letter from the president, they get a medal or pin, and it's a pretty big deal. And we're certified now to award that to the students who are serving our mission. So if you are interested in volunteering with us, if you volunteer a certain number of hours, then you can become eligible for the President's Volunteer Service Award, and we can go ahead and certify that award to you, and then host a small, ceremony with local officials to award you that. So if you're interested in volunteering with Virtutem Populo, please reach out. You can sign up to volunteer with us through Volunteering Miami. We have a page there where you can sign up. And then you can also email us at info@virtutempopulo.net. That's VIRTUTEM Populo POPULO.net, info@virtutempopulo.net. And someone can put you in touch, but we're constantly looking for volunteers for other programs and events we are doing. So if that's something you're interested in, email us or sign up through Volunteering Miami. I think it's volunteeringmiami.org. Find Virtutem Populo, and you can fill out your info there, and then we'll get it, and we'll put you in our volunteer database, and someone on our team will be in touch.
That's awesome. And I also know that you guys have a newsletter, the We the People newsletter, that showcases all of the events that you guys have currently hosted, like recent events, but also new events that you guys are updating your VP members with as well. Can you elaborate more?
Yeah, so we do have a newsletter. It goes out the last Friday of every month. So, the August newsletter will go out in maybe 2 weeks, but it shows everything that we've been doing over the months, and it also will show you if there's any opportunity for you to volunteer or any events for you to attend or for your school to sign up. So definitely, I would hope you would subscribe, and you can do so on our Instagram at Virtutem _ Populo. There in our link in bio, there's gonna be a link to our link tree where it'll show you to subscribe. That's the way I recommend you doing it. If not, you can also send us an email letting us know you want to be subscribed to the newsletter. But the Instagram is the fastest way to do so. Or you can check out our website. I think we have a form there as well for you to subscribe, which our website is virtutempopulo.org. So it's a great newsletter, and we actually feature every month a new student organization where we interview them. And our team does a great job with that. Ashley, she's our newsletter coordinator. So that's definitely great. So if maybe you have a student passion project that you want to be featured in a newsletter, you can email us as well, and we can, meet with you and include you. But it's just a great way to learn about what's going on in the community and to just stay up to date with Virtutem Populo.
That's awesome, Maurits. And unfortunately, we've reached the end of our podcast. Is there anything else that you'd like to add based on like maybe Virtutem Populo's social media? Let us know.
Yeah, so it's been a real pleasure, Alyssa. And I just really want to all the students listening, know that you are capable of huge amounts of impact with, if you have the passion and you have the right resources and the right opportunities, then really the extent of your impact is limitless. And here at Virtutem Populo, we are ready to support you. We want to support you and your initiatives. So please do not hesitate to reach out so our team can get in touch. Once again, info@virtutempopulo.net. That's our email. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, what was now called X, but we're on all three. On Facebook, we're Virtutem Populo Inc. On Instagram and Twitter, we're at Virtutem _ Populo. Find us. Once again, our website is virtutempopulo.org. And we support all students. If you need help starting up your passion project, we can take care of that. We can help you find funding. We can give you the proper resources. And we can make sure that you can help change your community for the better. And if your school is interested in participating in any of our events, we have the Civics Bowl, which is coming up again in March 2024, which is going to be huge. You can sign up for that. And if you have any suggestions for guests to be on our podcast, please reach out as well. Our doors are really open for any student requests. So once again, Alyssa, thank you so much for having me. It's a true pleasure, and it's been great being here.
It's been an honor, Maurits, and the podcast is super grateful that you've joined us today, and I'm pretty sure our listeners have gotten so much golden advice from you. Thank you. Bye. All right.